What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics, and today we have a full album reaction of Kathleen Edwards' Asking for Flowers, brought to us by a friend, longtime patron supporter of the channel, Mark. Thank you, Mark. Always appreciate you and appreciate all the patrons. If you like to support us in any way, check out the Patreon link below. The patrons make this thing go. Also, check out our social media, great Facebook group, Instagram, and our Twitch channel. Follow us there. We have live streams every Wednesday and Friday. We always have a good time. Let's get into this a little bit. I've done some song reactions to Kathleen Edwards, and Mark has also brought some of her songs to the aforementioned live streams over on Twitch. Always enjoy her stuff. She's a Canadian singer-songwriter. She has 5 studio albums, and she has been compared to Suzanne Vega meets Neil Young. So that's high praise right there. This was her 3rd studio album, released in March of 2008. Went to number 15 in Canada, 102 in the US, so a little bit of success here in the US. Nominee for the 2008 Polaris Music Prize. This was very well received by critics. It contains many references to figures in the Canadian media, including Alicia Ross. The fourth track on here is about her. I'll get into her story when we get there. Also, little mention to Marty McSorley and the great one, Wayne Gretzky. So that's going to be fun. All songs are written by Kathleen, and as always, the music will not be in the video. If you want to follow along with me, there is a link below where you can listen along. If you just want to know what I think, hang around here. Once again, appreciate you, Mark. And let's kick this thing off with the first song, Buffalo. Some of these songs I couldn't find anything on, as hard as I try, but she is such a good writer. We'll be able to figure out what they're all about, or almost all of them are, just from listening to the lyrics. I will have those up as always. Let's get rocking. There you have it, Buffalo. Just beautiful. It starts out with her very controlled on the vocals. She's always very controlled. I guess one thing I'll get out of the way first, I really enjoy female vocalists. Where I get an issue sometimes, and it's more female vocalists than male vocalists, guys do it too. It's just sometimes some of the women who have unbelievably powerful voices sometimes overuse that, and almost scream the lyrics. And that's what I like about people like Kathleen. Always in control. Starts out just beautiful lyricism in vocals in the first verse, and then it builds, and she goes back and forth from a little more up-tempo. It never gets super up-tempo, to just then her voice and a little bit of instrumentation in the background, and her voice is so good she can pull that off. Basically, I think it's a story of a couple. She talks about in the first verse, the summer months left me alone, but the fall rolled back in on the back of a storm. In the night you and I drove. Have you ever seen lightning and snow? So they're going together now. She hadn't heard from this guy, I think, and now it's the winter time, and they're going together. All these weeks without a note. It's like a ticking clock every time that you phone. So you feel the anxiety and angst in this relationship. But I've run aground, truth be told, and when it comes to me, I'll let you know. He's gone too far, man, so she'll let him know. Don't be like that. Don't be like that. And then towards the very end, and up ahead, the roads were closed, and the Jennies ran most of Buffalo. The customs man at Border Patrol said, yes, you can go, but you won't make it home. And then the don't be like that, don't be like that. Beautiful 5-minute track, always under control. The strings are awesome on here, and I see that one of the violin players was Kathleen herself, along with the acoustic and the vocals. So much good stuff going on here. What a way to start the album. Now we'll move on to one of the singles on the album. Track number 2 is The Cheapest Key. The Cheapest Key, by far the shortest track on this. I'll start out with what I didn't like first. We'll get the bad stuff out of the way first. I didn't like the vocal performance so much, after I just bragged on Kathleen's vocals. They're always fantastic, but I didn't like how she, on this first verse, held the last word on every line. She just didn't sound that great. I didn't like the holding on there, but hey, the lyricism's great. Starts out with an A, B, C, D, E, F, G for the cheapest key. A little play on words, and basically, this guy has messed her over, and she's sick and tired of it. The very last line of verse 1, who spends his days living in ego land. You always write it in the cheapest key. You always blame it on the cheapest key. You always play me in the cheapest key. Then this harmonica comes in. I mentioned it during the song by Paul Reddick, and towards the end of the song, it really comes in strong, kind of punctuates the lines. It's just a fantastic thing. You don't usually see the harmonica very often. You got the album was produced by Kathleen and Jim Scott. He's in here on the omnichord. Kathleen's playing the auto harp. Got the electric guitar, the piano, the drums, the bass. We got it all, man. So I did really enjoy the lyricism. The vocals were a little for me, but still doesn't take away from how good the song was. And now we're going to move on, as you can see below, to the title track. I couldn't find anything on it, but obviously they thought highly of it because it is the title track, or they thought it was a fantastic title for an album, because it is. Let's check it out. There you have it, the title track. I will tell you right now, everything worked for me on that song. The songwriting was fantastic by Kathleen. I don't know that she can write a song like this without some sort of personal experience in it. Maybe she did, but man, I think you're probably pulling this from some sort of emotional experience. The backing vocals on it worked for me, where the guy comes in as Jim Bryson. He's one of the two electric guitarists who were absolutely top notch on this. A couple little solos in there, him and Greg Lees. Just fantastic. And Kathleen doesn't play any instrument on here. I found that to be interesting because she usually does. So I think she's pouring her heart out into these lyrics. I think any of us that have been in a difficult relationship sometimes in our lives could very much identify with this. She starts out as complicated. Technically, I'm certified. A walking declaration of everything I couldn't get right. Time is just an anchor, but 7 years, I think I'm right. And now you change your number. It's like a noose around my life. So she's writing to this guy who never treated her right. Every pill I took in vain, every meal for you I made, every penny I put away. So she did everything she could for him and still wasn't enough. Asking for flowers is like asking you to be nice. Don't tell me you're too tired. 10 years, I've been working nights. And then the rest of it just kind of unfolds like that. I won't read you every single line, but I'd like to. But basically, we get in these relationships sometimes and we're in so deep that we know we should get out. Maybe everybody's telling us we should get out, but you're just in so deep and you've invested so much time and effort into it. You just hold on hoping it's going to change, and it just doesn't. And she's kind of reflecting on that. I wasted all of these years, everything I did, and it just didn't matter. And it's kind of seems like it's brought her into this point in her life where maybe she's depressed about it some. And wow, just everything works for this song. Just fantastic. Next up is another heavy one, Alicia Ross. I did some research on her. She was a young woman from Markham, Ontario, Canada, whose disappearance in August of 2005 and the resulting investigation became the subject of international media coverage. I should remember this. I don't. After the initial widespread suspicion of her boyfriend, her next-door neighbor turned himself into authorities and was sentenced to life in prison for second-degree murder. Kathleen wrote this song from the perspective of the young woman in her last moments of life. So as you listen along, if you're listening along with me, that's important to keep in perspective. Once again, I'll read it. She wrote it from the perspective of the young woman in her last moments of life. Let's check this one out. Wow, that was a powerful song. Songs like this remind me of why I love music so much. It gave me goosebumps during one of the verses, which I'll get to in a minute. Like, knowing what it was about, music can transport you to a place that really nothing else can. And I'm a broken record, no pun intended on this, but the instrumentation on this album so far is just fantastic. First-rate musicianship. You got Kathleen and Ann Lindsay on violin. You got a cello. You got a viola. You have electric guitar. You have harmonica, again, bass drums, and, of course, on the piano, you got Benmont Tench, founding member of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Just everything on this song is beautifully arranged. What a great songwriting effort from Kathleen as well. And she puts you right. You feel like you are Alicia, right? I'm a girl with a forgettable face, no matter my color, no matter my name. So it starts out, she's forgettable, right? She's just one of the crowd. At work, there's a boy who treats me well. My old friends from high school, I see them around. So she's just a normal girl. She's working, sometimes sees the people she went to school with. And August is here. I can't believe how fast. Soon there will be winter and snow on the ground. Maybe by then I could get my own place closer to the city if that's okay. So she's thinking about her future, right? I'm going to go out on my own. So she's at her mom's house. She lives with her mom. But mama, can you feel me? This is a verse that just, as I dragged on my day's last cigarette, he pulled me so hard off my very own back door steps. And he laid me in his garden all the years I've watched him tend. And he took me, mama, so I can never tell you about it. Wow, man. And then you get what she feels in that. Inside of this moment, there are things I wish I could know, like your ring size and my ring size and the hour I was born and my dad's middle name and your favorite song. Was your darkest day as dark as this one? That answer is going to be no way. And then she just goes back through, sings those verses again, or sings a chorus again, but at the very end, remember it started out, I'm a girl with a forgettable face. It ends with the line, now I'm a girl whose face they'll never forget, because as I told you, it became an international news story. Just tremendous songwriting, just a great song, so heavy. let's move on to the next one. Maybe we'll get taken out of this heaviness of these last two songs. We have I Make the Dough, You Get the Glory. What a title. This was also a single, and supposedly this is a tribute to longtime collaborator and fellow Canadian Jim Bryson. Well, there you have it. I Make the Dough, You Get the Glory. Definitely to her longtime collaborator, Jim Bryson. As you study more, Jim, of course, is with her touring band, plays piano, but also is a producer, has his own recording studio I saw that he built on the side of his home. Worked with a lot of artists, including the Tragically Hip, which we have some reviews of them up on the channel, one of our faves. Blazing, she just talks about basically he's kind of the one of the talents behind the operation, but it's just Kathleen Edwards who gets the bill, so she's paying him tribute. Just a great bit of songwriting as well on a broken record. Blazing the trails of the southern cities from the streets of our hometown, basement bars we played from the heart, in the company of our friends. If I write down these memories that I've saved away, photographs of the years that passed inside my little brain. And then the chorus, a lot of cool word plays here. You're cool and cred like Fogerty, of course, John Fogerty, the leader of CCR. I'm Elvis Presley in the 70s. So Fogerty was much more cool in the 70s than Elvis. If you're an Elvis fan, I don't mean any disrespect. I'm just saying by that point, that's kind of how it was looked at. You're the buffet, I'm just the table. I'm a Ford Tempo, you're the Maserati. You're the great one, Wayne Gretzky. I'm Marty McSorley, far less fame. Everybody knows Wayne Gretzky. You're the Concorde, the famous jet that doesn't exist anymore. I'm the economy, I make the dough, but you get the glory. So just great, man. And she just goes through the other stuff. But she has one in the verse, once I got drunk with Jeff, I told him I was in love with you, but I love you like a brother. So I guess half of it was true. And then she goes through and gives that chorus again with the comparisons. And you make me look legit, heavy rotation on the CBC, whatever in hell that really means. Just great songwriting once again. Really enjoyed that one. More country sounded. Because, and ironically, we actually don't have Jim Bryson on this track, but great pedal steel from Greg Lies or Lees. I don't know how to say his name. So one of those two's got to be right, I hope, right? And so he does great work on this album all throughout, but gives it that country feel to it. Another track so far has felt a little bit country as well, Asking for Flowers, but just barely. This one's much more country sounding than that, but neither one of them is overtly country. It sounds really good. Let's get on. We're the halfway mark of this album, really. There's 11 tracks. Let's go to number 6. We have Oil Man's War. Interesting title. Oil Man's War. Some nice male backing vocals from the aforementioned Jim Bryson, who the previous song was the subject of. As I'm reading these lyrics, tells a great story, trying to figure out how exactly to interpret them. Bobby wished he was from the past. He says those cars I used to drive were the best. And I know I'm a simple man. Even my dreams I deserve to have. So you're kind of going, okay. Annabelle had plans of her own. She says there's no way in hell I'm going home because Mama says she always knows best. Well, God love her. Her life is a mess. So then she's telling Bobby, I won't change my mind. Keep your hand on my thigh tonight. When we get up north, we'll buy us a store. I won't fight in an oil man's war. So I don't know if Bobby's going to have to go to war and they're escaping. I mean, that's what part of my mind wants to go. They're escaping. Bobby bought a brand new suit from his neighbor, bought round toe shoes, stuffed the money down in his socks on his way. He bought a wrist corsage. So I'm guessing that Bobby and Annabelle are running off to get married. Annie was scared to death. She'd never once in her life laid with a man, and she knew it was his only chance. She bought a white dress second hand. So is he going off to war? Then she goes into the same little chorus thing. And you can't say it's just a matter of pride. I've been living here since I was a child. Now I'm a simple man. Even my dreams I deserve to have. And in the very last verse, and I'm not going to die, so keep your hand on my thigh tonight, because when we get up north, we'll buy us a store. I won't fight an oil man's war. So are they escaping so he doesn't have to go to war? Or is he going to end up going to war? I mean, I know they're escaping, getting married. So it has a little bit of intrigue for me. I couldn't find what the subject was. And I guess it doesn't matter. It can be what you want it to be. But it's young love, escaping, getting married, and dreaming of the future. So every song I've said it. Really good songwriting here. Let's go to track 7. You can see the title below. Just so I don't get flagged on YouTube for language, I'll just say sure as blank. You can see it below. Intriguing to name a song this way. So I wonder if this won't have some sarcasm and fire in it. Sure as Blank. What a powerful song. I mentioned, if you're watching along with the reaction right when it started, it's just Kathleen on acoustic, which shows you, I mean, she brought out the singer-songwriter part here and pulled it off fantastically. Shows you the diversity of her and of this record, because in the previous song, Oil Man's War, you had a fantastic 12-string electric guitar played by Colin Cripps. You had Benmont Tench back in on piano, you had an organ, you had all these different instruments and all these great musicians. And on this one, it's just Kathleen, and it works every bit as well. And it's really just a love song. Choosing my words carefully has never been my strength. That's her first line. It's going to play in just like it did in Alicia Ross. She's so good at bookending and progressing her lyricism. I've been known to be vague and often pointless, but sure as blank, you know me better than anybody else, and for that in my heart, I am hopeful. She packs his bags. He's going off. In these years I've known you, it's gone and blurred my sense of time, and now I can hardly even recall what came before this. When you're with someone for so long, I mean, I've been with my wife Gina for going on 27 years. I don't really remember a whole lot of time before her, so that really comes into play there. I like that. Cobwebs all collected, paintings on the wall, lounging around all day. You can call to mind when you're out in the world without me, all these things. She calls him, oh, the Denim King, and sure as blank, do love you. And I cuss because I mean it, and for that in my heart I'm hopeful. Remember, the first line was, choosing my words carefully has never been my strength. Her last line, and these words that I chose, I was so careful. So she's showing her love even more so by very carefully constructing this song and these lyrics. I don't know how I'm going to pick a favorite on this. That was fantastic and so different from what we've heard so far. And now we're up to one of the shorter tracks, Run. Run. I mentioned it during the reaction, but drums and percussion, I haven't mentioned it much. Don Heffington, just quietly a solid performance all the way through this album, but on this song really stands out. The guitar work by Kathleen, but especially Colin Cripps, is fantastic. And this is written from the perspective of a mother writing to her daughter. It starts out, oh, my child, 30 years today, you came into my life, so 30th birthday, and everything changed. If there's one thing I try to teach you, girl, don't waste your time. Come this September, you'll be somebody's wife. And then the bridge, I won't paint a picture of what you want to see. Love is the harder times, take it from me. The chorus, I would run down the lane and into the night, run so fast I swear my feet would fly. Run from my babies asleep in their beds, run from my lover and my best friend and back again. So I think the mom's trying to tell her, it's rough. Look, love is hard sometimes. It's well worth it, but it's hard sometimes. So she would run away, whether figuratively or literally, from her kids, from her husband, but she'd always come back again. And all the courage I've tried so hard to hold on to ever since the day you and your brother left to school, so left her there. They say just over that hill the fog rolled in. I've been a healer of other people's pain. Yeah, I know sometimes you don't like the ways I've changed, and then talks about, but the smell of the world came into my lungs. The sound of the gravel when my legs went numb, and my heart nearly burst right out of my chest. It felt so good to know I wasn't dead. And then she gets back to that chorus about running away, but then coming back again. So, as always, I mean, Kathleen, I expect an A writing performance from her, and she has not disappointed me yet. And this was recorded a little differently as far as the way her vocals are. I don't think there's any sort of treatment on it. There's kind of mixed to be a little bit, I don't know if I'd say clear. It's hard to describe, but if you're listening along, I would imagine you picked up on it. You know, Jim Scott, who co-produced this with her, was also the recording engineer, mixing engineer, and so he did a very good job on this one, kind of bringing her vocals to a highlight. And now we're up to the 9th song, Oh Canada. Oh Canada. Wow, what a track. What a track. The drums this time, percussion, were Gary Craig. He did a fantastic job. The guitar, once again, was a standout. You had Colin, Greg, and Kathleen all playing guitar on this, and the great Benmont Tench was on Hammond organ. Hammond organ can be hit and miss for me. Works great on this song. The best guitar solo, or at least the hardest guitar solo in instrumentation so far on this album. And because of the subject of the lyrics, it absolutely works and almost was necessary. So it starts out right away, Oh Canada, I stand on guard for a lot, but just last week a white girl was shot outside a shopping mall. Yeah, it's written in the press that your sweet little town has lost its innocence. It's not the year of the gun. We don't say it out loud. There are no headlines when a black girl dies. It's not the lack of a sense. It's called Ambivalence. So she is really going at some social issues back in 2008, which I can't speak for Canada, but in America are still very much a problem as I'm recording this in 2021. She comes through some other stuff about ambivalence. I like this. Then there's a great guitar solo, and then she comes in with, Up on the hill is the best real estate. Baby, just to get in, you've got to sell off your faith. So to get that rich, to own that land up there and the house you're going to build, you got to sell off your faith. Because in the valley below, as you're overlooking it, right, there is cracking young girls. You don't have to believe what stays out of your will. As long as it's not in our world, we can get away, we can escape. We don't have to admit it's out there and deal with it and want to do something about it. So, and then she starts out, or she ends with that, it's not the year of the gun. We don't say it out loud. There are no headlines when a black girl dies. It's not the lack of a sense. It's called ambivalence. Wow. Kathleen coming in hot on these lyrics. Great job. Now we're up to the next to last track, Scared at Night. Scared at Night. Wow, those lyrics are heavy as well. Justin Rutledge coming in with some nice backing vocals to punctuate some of these things. We had a pedal steel again from Burke Carroll this time. Burke did a great job on that and brought that little country element once again to it, just slightly country element. Mainly we just had Kathleen on the acoustic because the story this tells, it's about her brother and she's just unfolding her memories with her brother. And then gets to the chorus, believe me all the days you're unsure, believe in me, I don't want to anymore. And then the dark, picture me in your mind and I'll lay with you. You don't have to be scared at night. So recalling when you're scared as a child, hiding under the blanket or under the sheets. As a young man, you were shooting rats. By accident, you hit the farmyard cat and he ends up having to shoot the farmyard cat. His dad makes him. And then she gets into just the heaviness. And I flew to Winnipeg on your final day. They said that you waited till I came. We sang your favorite hymns and we held your hand. You took your final breath and that was that. But I've never seen a person die before. I tried so hard not to cry, because maybe sometimes we've got to trust ourselves that when you die, you go someplace else. And then she just sings that chorus about not being scared at night. Wow, what a heavy song. What fantastic songwriting. Just really, really well done. And now we're to our final track, the longest track on the album, Goodnight, California. Goodnight, California. I mentioned it during the reaction, a big instrumental build and a little bit on the outro side of it as well. The most lyrically sparse song on the album, yet the longest in length. It was really just a showcase for the atmosphere of the instrumentation. You had Kathleen not only on the vocals and acoustic like she is oftentimes, but also on a vibraphone. Once again, you had the strings reappearing, the harmonica, Hammond organ, this time by John Ginty, not by Benmont Tench. The electric, the bass, the drums, it's all here and just setting a nice atmosphere. Like I said, not much of the lyrics. You know what I wish? It was just you and me sitting in this corner bar. You can tell me how you are. I'm not going to lie or anything. You don't even have to speak. If you keep looking at me, she just wants to be with him. She could go all night, but they're turning up the lights. Last call must be 2 a.m. or at least 2 a.m. in the places I've been when it's about to close. I'm not going to lie or anything. You don't have to speak. Just keep looking at me. I could go all night. They're turning up the lights. But the last line's great. The last verse kind of carries out what she's done on this whole album, progressing the songwriting. But I'm not going to lie or anything. I won't let you in my heart, but you were always on my mind. Just a great little way to end this thing. Now we're going to get to my favorite tracks, which are going to be incredibly difficult in this album. I usually pick 3. I might have to pick 4. Going for Asking for Flowers, the title track. Wow. Alicia Ross. Run. Oh Canada. Man, I guess I'll stop there. There wasn't a track on here that I didn't like. Let me tell you something. It is a shame that Kathleen never hit it big because she is great. The songwriting on this is just A+. The instrumentation, musicianship is A+. She's got a few heavy hitters in here, and everyone is just bringing it. Everybody's working on all cylinders. 11 songs, 49 minutes. Not too long for 11 songs. Everything works. I'm going to be at a sky-high grade on this one for first listen of an 8.5. I love singer-songwriting. It never gets boring. It's not monotonous. Every song changes some things up, yet she stays true to who she is. Just fantastic, Mark. Thank you for bringing this one to me. I know you mentioned to me you thought I would really like the lyrics, and boy, you know me well. So thank you, everybody, for joining me. Let me know what you think of this thing, and until next time, I will see you.